Welcome back. This is Mr. Tom here with another video for you. So as you can see, I'm out in our wetlands. It's very green now. Now I just wanted to show you something really quick. So you can see our water in the creek there. It's rained a little bit recently, so we got some water. Hasn't really been running lately though, but what you can see, and those of you that have been to our museum before might recognize these. You can see these rocks here that looks like they kind of fallen over. So those actually were moved by the water. Water is a very, very powerful substance. It's kind of, oh, there's a bullfrog there. It's kind of funny because it can be so gentle when it's still like this, and yet it can also be very, very, very powerful. And this is just to show you what water, when really fast moving water is flowing by, it can actually tumble down rocks. So this week's activity is going to be a demonstration more about the power of erosion. And of course you can try this yourself. Well, let's get started. All right, well, let's take a look at our setup here. This is what we call a water table. It's basically a sort of a longish rectangular basin that we use. We put sand in it. We can put other materials if we want. But mainly what we use it for is to demonstrate what flowing water does to a surrounding landscape. And we use sand as an example for that. So what I want to show you is the power of flowing water. So I'm sure you've all been to areas where you've witnessed the power of water. If you've even been at a little stream, you know that sometimes it might just be a little bit of a trickle if it's been pretty dry out. And then you know at other times when there's been a lot of rain in a short period of time, it can actually flood. Water is very, very powerful. Okay, and just to do a quick demonstration of that right here, I am going to take a bucket of water and I am going to pour it up here. And then we're going to see what it does. Okay, imagine this is like the edge of a mountain range. You got some cliffs and foothills towards the bottom. Imagine this would be a flat surface, or maybe it could be the ocean. So let's see what happens. Okay, just pour it right down the middle here. See where it goes. So it looks like it's carving two separate paths there. Oh, no. All right, now pay attention to what's happening at the very edge. So see this going on right here? See how it's fanning out? So if you've ever been down to the Gulf of Mexico, you know at the tip of Louisiana, there's a big, wide area at the southern tip of the state that kind of fans out. And that's because the Mississippi River is actually pouring out of there. And when it does, it's bringing with it all kinds of fine, oh, there's a big flood there. It's bringing with it all kinds of fine materials like silts and fine pieces of sand. And that's why it fans out like that. All right, now, so you can see the pattern here. And you notice towards the end there, it was kind of a sort of an uncontrollable flood I made there. What we're going to try and do next is we're going to come up with some sort of structure or some kind of design that will help prevent that from happening. You're never going to be able to stop it from raining. But what we can do is we can kind of help mitigate that or lessen the effects of the flooding by coming up with some kind of structural design. So let's do that next. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at this next setup. See if I can move this just a little bit more this way. That's pretty heavy. I think you all should be able to see that now. And just tell me real quick what I did. So let's say you live along a riverbank, and you know that there can be some flooding in the area. It can be prone to flooding. So what you can do is think of different ways to sort of control that. And there are a lot of different ways. And one way I've demonstrated is with cheesecloth. If you were with me for the video I did for making a water filter, you might remember that material, that cheesecloth. And then here I used some bamboo skewers. I broke them in half and I used them as posts. You see how I sort of lined them up, 4 on each side. Okay, and that cheesecloth should be able to provide some protection. It's almost like putting wire caging. So if you've ever been on a road trip with your parents, maybe you've been close to a road cut where there's some steep cliffs and boulders on the side, sometimes they put cages on there to help contain that. So we'll see how this works to kind of control our river flow here. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to pour some water through and we'll see how it holds up. Start gently here. Oh, looks like we got a post that fell. It's moving a little bit, but you see for the most part how much more controlled that is. Okay, let's go a little more. So at some point it might just be too much. Yeah, see, it's starting to give way there, but you know what? If you live in a flood-prone area, even if that's just a temporary fix, that might give you, even if it's just minutes, that might give you enough time to evacuate and go to safety. So, you can try all kinds of things at home if you like. What you could do is just have a tub. If you have a flat Tupperware tub or a plastic bin, that would be perfect. Fill it with sand. And pour some water through it, see what happens. And then the fun part is try and think like a structural engineer and see if you can come up with a design or a structure to help control the flooding. One thing you might want to try is clay, actually. It should be something a little more permanent than this, but it's just fun to test out different amounts of water, different amounts of material, whatever you like. It's just a good activity to do to show the power of erosion with water, but also a good opportunity for being creative and being an engineer. Well, I hope that was fun, and I'll see you next week.